I freed up my hard drive space, deleting some of the videos that I already made and uploaded to YouTube. Woo! Yeah, we were talking about sword game, you know, the game idea that was Samsara. That was the original idea for the game. Samsara is a Buddhist word and concept. It means cycles of life, death, and rebirth in time. So the sword is going to be the Samsara, And I kind of thought of the same thing, but from a different angle when I started developing it and thinking of how the gameplay would work, which was one of the funnest things in my mind. How would the gameplay work? Yes, again, I was trying to breathe new life into a classic of the side-scrolling retro style, which I love because you can do it on the independent budget, and even though it's been done many times, you can do unique things with it. And if you cut your teeth and show your design with even one or two interesting complementary gameplay mechanics, then you can kind of pitch and sell the whole game, not only on the storytelling concept, how people get hyped about this and into it, but on the making a fun, addictive, heady gameplay experience that'll suck people in and get them hooked as well, so you get the full package. Um, no, yeah, just for the record, no, my headphones aren't plugged into anything. I'm using them as a hairband right now. Um, which works unbelievably well. So no, we're talking about sword game, and when I started working on it a little bit, I love the idea that you get to meet this character with the idea of this spirit that's also seeing the world for the first time and seeing it through the eyes, and they're like partners and friends that have to take on this almost impossible challenge, but she's there for it, to liberate this whole land that's become consumed and corrupted by this evil force. I like the idea that it's kind of a feminist game. It's a feminist ideology of a game, where whoever you are, you're helping this girl and you're befriending this girl, and she can be just as tough or tougher than anyone. When she's out to accomplish her dreams, and you feel like you're on the team with this character, and yet she takes on a life of her own. And when she holds the sword in her hands, anything is possible. So much like Celeste, it's galvanizing you to invest in the challenge of this game and the mountain that you'll climb together. And the experiences and the vistas and the victories and the hard stories. And in concept, it's based on Chrono Cross, especially in terms of the main character, and even more. We'll have to dial it back because even more than Chrono Cross, it's based on the Radical Dreamers game that they made for the Super Nintendo, I think, which was the proto Chrono Cross. It was a narrative game where it was you and this girl, and you're going on this awesome adventure. And you're answering questions, and the emotion behind that game is quite unique and signature to a lot of things that I think about in game design. Really inspired concept that became the framework for Chrono Cross and the development of that. So really cool. So taking it back to that, and Kid is the name of this character. She's so good. She's such a fighter, and she's such a badass, but she's got a haunted, cursed backstory, and she it doesn't care about anyone but her. She's got a very tough exterior. I love Kid more than I love most fictional characters, and some of the scenes in Chrono Cross are still my all-time favorite, most emotionally resonant scenes in any fantasy story, fantasy or otherwise. The bit with her backstory in there, which is an optional scene. Some of the most craziest stuff in Chrono Cross is totally optional. But a lot of those things, it follows its own path, which has very beautiful and unique divergences from the fantasy and RPG framework. Um, but as I'm thinking of it and developing the gameplay mechanics, I'm the Chrono Cross style, the art style and the gameplay style, the elemental table where it's all elemental resistances and weaknesses. No, I could spend a couple weeks talking about this, but we don't have to go into the gameplay. And I was oh, it'd be so cool if it was a game in the Chrono series. I started calling it Chrono Cipher, where the sword is the Chrono Cipher. It is, a time object that moves through times and creates these time loops. Um, And the idea of this is very vibrant, colorful, tropical type world with these elemental battles, these really fun, vibrant creature designs and locations. And that was the kind of story that I wanted to tell immediately. Like the first area was these like flying islands with beautiful flowers on them. And again, trying to like break ideas down into their most fundamental shape and form so that you know, you can like sell them really quickly. You hit off the elevator pitch, and then you create a framework for continued development with that direction. You know, with that direction. It's flying islands, these runic, like high ancient magic islands with these like flowers all over them, beautiful, glowing, like rainbow colored flowers, and then it would move in a day night cycle with like sweeping violin music that really like captures the spirit of adventure right out the gate, right before you even like get down to the ground. And believe it or not, this is right after playing Breath of the Wild. And way before they even released any of their Flying Island stuff for the sequel. So I was on that shit ahead of the game. The show. I can talk a lot about ideas that I've had that where I've had ideas and written them down in my notebooks, and like that's a great idea for a project that then people use very successfully in other projects as something to kind of like you know speaks to my creative genius, of course. No, but just like putting together ideas in fun and unique ways, and then to see them happen and get it popping. And it's always like they take an idea that I've had, but then do it in like, you know, with an immense like collaborative team and budget, and add things to it, and like put things together in new and unique ways. Yeah, I know, like the dodge roll and parry system. I was thinking of games with like a rhythm game parry system for years before Sekiro came out. And then when that came out, I was like, oh, so crispy. They do it in such a fun way that creates that rhythmic dance, that motion, that energy, that combustion of ideas. Beautiful. And the idea that you move through this beautiful world together, and as you do, you're kind of uncursing the world with this sword. It's the girl, and you're the liberator, you're the exorcist, you're the curse destroyer and the curse breaker, and you're up against like very powerful odds. The idea of this as kind of a feminist story, so not only is there a female protagonist but a female antagonist with like just as powerful as women can be, you know, powerful women and super powerful women, but women can also be like villainous or evil, and she's like the dark queen of the land, right? And this fighter girl is like, nah, you know, she's gonna change it. She rises to the fight and the occasion with the sword, you know, with the mythic sword. Never give up. No, there's a bit with the idea for the end boss fight where like the like villainess girl would like take the sword, and you'd have to play as her fighting the main character for a time in the end boss fight. And if you just like let the main character beat you, you'd like time loop back in. So you have to believe in her, and she'd get the sword back after a point. Just as an idea that would turn it on its head. But just to take it back to that moment in the islands in the sky with the sweeping violin adventure music, you know, I really like Birth by Sleep, and the way Birth by Sleep starts in that magical place with like those mowed lawns and the three of them out there. Such a good opening area. Goddamn, Birth by Sleep is cool. But the way that it starts with the three of them and their dreams and stuff, like the starts of all the Kingdom Hearts games are immaculately perfect in their own right, but Birth by Sleep hit a chord, man. I wanted to capture something like that, and like the movement of the sky and the clouds, and like you're, you know, figuring out the base gameplay mechanics, fighting all these enemies in this space, and exploring and collecting items and opening chests, and you know, the movement of the game has to be super extra crispy and deluxe. You know, so like the run and jump and double jump and like the gaining momentum while you're running, so you can run around really, really fast. and to do lightning quick sword combos. But then a magic system has to be integral to the game as well. You know, you have to be thinking of a magic system from the ground up. And no, I like the idea of the magic system in Final Fantasy VIII, the draw system, the numeric magic system with the numbered uses on each spell, and like Breath of the Wild. Not the magic system of Breath of the Wild, but the limited durability of the gear that you have. So each of the items acts like a key or something. You can use it to clear obstacles and enemies, but it has limited uses, and you're constantly cycling through your collection of stuff. I know a lot of people are like, oh, the limited durability system is like bunk, but it keeps you back in constantly getting like rewards in terms of the equipment and gear and thinking what those rewards can get you. And then you use them up while you're using them. So you're constantly cycling your equipment instead of just getting that sword and that's the best one. And then you like just stick with what you've got. You know, you use up your equipment and you go back and get it. So it's like in a constant cycle of rotation. And I thought that was just brilliant. But to use that in combination with the idea of elemental weaknesses and the idea that each enemy drops like unique spells and abilities that would be useful against other enemies. And it's usually like the type of enemy that drops a spell, it would be useful against a different type of enemy. So you're like collecting keys that then you can use in other locks. And if you hit their elemental weaknesses, it would like destroy them. So the key lock system works really well in going to areas. So you're giving everything like backtrackable value. If you're going back to farm unique spells, and then to have further backtrackable value in all of the areas, you could go back with higher level versions of all the enemies that you fight, which have different colors on them. And it's like super hard mode versions of previous enemies. So you're using your assets that you already have to maximize your assets and replayable value and how beautiful the world is. And to like diversify the areas. If you have lava areas, you have jungles, you have undersea areas, you have space areas, you have alternate timelines, you have high sci-fi areas and places that you can go to. And then you go back while you're also like unearthing these clues and unlocking these mysteries to what the fuck is happening in this place. Who is the motivations of like the antagonist, of course, and what's the cause and effect that's, made all these things happen, to keep like high interest, but also to keep like these locations in rotation so you don't spend too much time in any one place and the whole world is like active and open to you. So also like the world takes on a character of its own self, where the girl has a character but then she wants to save the world. So the idea, you love the sword, you love the girl, you love the world, you're fighting for it too, and you add your fighting spirit to that of her. She can't do it without you, like even with all of her infinite fight, like there's no way that she'll be able to take on these challenges and even play the game, much less beat it, without you, the player. Like we need your strength and your energy, or the world's gonna end up in this cursed place forever, and how bad would that be? And we'd never even know what the fuck was going on in it or get to see it. We wouldn't have this wonderful adventure. You wouldn't get to meet the character, So there's this destiny and this challenge, this gauntlet that we're throwing down. But this galvanizing idea that your input and your exchange of energy matters. And that was something that I felt so like deeply in my heart, like playing games. And let's say you're playing Final Fantasy 13 for the first time, and like they can't do it without you, and your actions matter and change this world like drastically, right? So you go from being a kid, right, and you don't really impact anything, and you're too small to do anything, and adults are always telling you how they know everything, and blah blah blah, and you gotta like put in 1 billion hours of work before you get to like make your own decisions, to being like in control of where this adventure goes, and like the state of this world, save this world, invest yourself in it, and that like that key element of games was just really special and important to me as a kid. You go from being a kid to being like a world saving hero, a warrior of light. and you really can't put a value on that, you know? I don't think you can to this day. So to try and like bring that in forefront to the storytelling and the game design as well, to heighten those aspects that are like a key part of any game, you know? There's like Legend of Zelda or Mario or anything, like, you know, the game's world state can't change without you. You know, you can't just like sit back and watch it happen like a movie or something. You are part of the game, you know? It's like a book, but then because it's a game, you know, it's like you don't read the same book in the same sequence. You decide and make decisions and choices and which screen and what's your strategy that you use. You know, your gameplay experience takes on a unique shape next to anyone else's, you know? And there's so many beautiful things in that relationship of game creator to player to game design to the characters in the games that brings them to life, and you investing your own imagination into it. Which is another thing I really like about classic games, and we can talk about Undertale sometime. We can talk about Undertale right now, because that is probably like the key game where a factor in the game's presentation, the impact, and everything is your imagination in the game, you know? Doing the characters' voices, right? Doing the characters' voices and doing them justice and imagining the characters and the movement and stuff. It's also basic, but your imagination is an active like factor in the game's design. You know, when you're talking to Toriel and you hear the home theme and you're walking around the house and stuff, it lights up things that are within you. And instead of the game just being this grand blockbuster spectacle, it's like this unique and personal relationship with the player. And that felt so special and so cherished, and something that had been lost in game design or old games like Final Fantasy 7 and 6 and earlier titles that I haven't really played yet, and Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross and all of these games, you know, where it's like you were imagining the characters, you know, not just in their blocky pixely renditions, but you'd also imagine the scenes with your highest imagination of their CGI renderings of their characters, and you'd give your imagination and emotion and intelligence to the characters and the game. And in that way, you're an active participant, you know? And a lot of like blockbuster games kind of take that out, and you're just like playing a spectacular, like flashy gameplay experience. And that can be so fun and so cool in a lot of ways, and it's not devoid of imagination by any means. But something like Undertale is so special and so cherished, and to see that come out of nowhere, solo game design getting 10 out of 10s and 10s out of 10s on this scale, you know, coming up in all the best game of the year lists and stuff, was like so cool. You know, to think that you can still win on heart as much as all of the technical details in the world was one of those things that changed me, and was like, I want to make games that use that heart and imagination and focus as part of the game design and the concept from the ground up, you know, to bring that imagination and experience of the player back into the game design and the world of the games, where you aren't just the player but also a co-creator, you know? And if you're using, whether you're using sprites or blocky pixel models or something, sprites are exceptionally good at this, I think. And the idea of this game is it's entirely sprite based, but really, really good. Like the most beautiful sprites ever to bring this world to life, in a highly colorful, highly imaginative world. I like the idea that you're bringing color back into this world. And even if not all of the color of areas has been stolen from them, the color of key things has been stolen from them. And as you uncurse this world, you also bring back the life and the magic and the color to it, you know? And it runs parallel to the story of Gunhead and Chrono Cypher at the same time, being different sides of the same coin flipped up in the air at the same time some years ago. And the idea of creating a studio that could break into independent game design with one or either or both of these projects, right? Super fun. Like the character being an agent of change in this world. There's a like a two character like relationship, and even though in Gunhead you're playing as Gunhead, and it doesn't have as much of like the choosing of different things and like a soft emotional narrative, because it's like an action epic, right? It's a girl and Gunhead, and they're talking while things are happening, and they're reacting, but they're also keeping each other going, right? They're keeping each other going while the whole world is thrown into the balance, and it's like that heart and that relationship, and them fighting for each other, and fighting to create a change in the world, and something personal that gives you the strength to do something kind of fantastic. Um, but then there's lots of like quiet campfire moments of like the sword and the girl together there, and the spirit through the sword, it speaks to her in that way, and you know, it's really nice. You want it to be really beautiful and epic at the same time. Um, okay, another really fun idea. As I remember, I remember thinking in the concept of Chrono Cipher. There's like a goofy renegade character, kind of like Kamina from Gurren Lagann, but integrated into this tribal, tropical storytelling world. And he doesn't wear like a shirt and has like tattoos all on his chest, and he's like tough but totally goofy. You know, maybe a potential love interest or something. And he gets the jump on her at some point and steals her sword from her. um, he steals the sword and he becomes the protagonist for like a minute while he's like doing this to like save his village and like beat these guys. He's got to take the sword, um, you know, and you know he comes out of nowhere and like does some kind of sneak attack and gets the sword and goes, and you roll with him for just a minute and you're like, what? They've been separated, and then she comes in and gets the sword back and actually helps him, and solves his problems, and he becomes like an active character in the story as well. A guy with a lot of fight, and they both look good with the sword, but it's all about her, her and the sword and her power and using it. But a fun little narrative like character switch partway through to also bring more life into the world and the characters of this world. And I think you'd feel a little bit like, wow, where's our girl? What's she doing? Like you'd feel a little bit of like attachment anxiety when you lose the character for a short time, but then also gain interest of like, who's this dude? Obviously, like, hey, you are the sword. You work for me now. You work for me, and we'll do these things. But then they become great friends too. Um, Even like fun ideas like having a potential friendship slot for another different party member, and you could have a couple of them, of having like actual villages and side quests of things that you could do, of like smaller character stories of like these people that are surviving this cursed world and your ability to help them, and the reward system of doing all of these like little side stories as well to bring the worlds to life, the optional side content and stuff. But much like the uh, Final Fantasy or the Witcher series or something, like that have good character stories as well. Um, and you get a little window into their lives, but a big window into the life of the protagonist as you're working together to find strength. And like people with little lost mementos or storylines, little love stories, and people, someone who's trying to do a gesture for a girl who's trying to win her heart, and gets himself in a dangerous situation. You help him out. Someone with an old lost sword that's a memento of a lost loved one, people that have, lost kids or, found new life as well. So stories of renewal. Near is the series that does this maybe peak out of all of them, as I'm thinking through like RPG stories. The character stories in Nier are quite piercing. And what we want to do isn't as piercing as that or heartbreaking. They really hit the heartstrings. But to think that we could have very deeply touching, emotional stories in this game that's kind of more like teen rated, like a hard teen rating, like Arcane or something, where we still have, like fangs that we can pull out when we need them, but a game that is made for a younger audience, maybe, of like people that are still finding their heroes and finding their mythology, and I'll make it with you if you give me a chance. You can make this game and use it to launch the independent and make the framework for a thing. Making a framework for a thing is something that gets me really excited because then you get the young designers and the writers and people who are like, we want these captivating emotional character stories that bring this world to life. We want twists and turns and divergences and, you know, things that are classic, that are well understood, but turn from a new angle, you know, just the right jump shot at just the right time. And you put a team of brilliant young minds and you throw the gauntlet at their feet the same way you'd be throwing the gauntlet at the feet of the players who invest in the game on the other side, right? And then you get the idea of a window of development. Whenever I heard of new Final Fantasy games that they were making, especially 13 Versus, I'm like, what is the development happening on the other end that you don't get to see every single day? What are they making? What are the gameplay tweaks and adjustments, and how's it coming together? What puzzles are they solving every day? What's happening behind the scenes in the studio? You know, that's something that just, you know, would keep me up at night thinking, oh man, they get playable versions of the new content. You know that FromSoft has been making something. You know Square Enix is making something now. The designs for the new Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy 17, the third Final Fantasy 7 installment. You know, they're making these things. Oh my god. It's so exciting. Even Final Fantasy 14, Yoshi P shit that they're doing, you know, what they're cooking all the time, getting it ready to break into the world is so super cool. And I know the stuff that I'm doing could seem like simple by comparison, but I like to be inspired by my heroes instead of intimidated by them, you know? Or it'd be easy to like hang up the cape and be like, they're superhuman. The stuff Tatsuya Nomura does, man, and everyone. But instead, you're like, you know, they were just in the same situation where you are now, looking up to other people that have come before, like Naruto, and, you know, the carving in the mountain of the Hokage faces, right? And it's like pointing for the stars, you know? He's pointing for the stars. I'll probably get points for not starting another Gunhead presentation until after this video, and that's cool too. Yeah, sword game takes it. Yeah, I know. I was thinking of like the designer Cynic's design, and even when I was making these two projects, I was thinking of Cynic's design and his design team and potential collaborators as people that could really break this from the independent to the professional level. And the stuff that he's doing, and he's continued to network and grow and expand and do cool things since then. I think he's having a child. I mean, he's had a child. He's having a child for the next, you know, the length of the child's life. Which we hope is very long and robust and full of magic and adventures, and that's super cool. But that's definitely something where it's like, that's such a cool arts team. We could develop it to a fun level and take it to them or someone else. We could. You know, it doesn't have to or not have to happen any specific kind of way. And when you lock that in as something that you're thinking about, then I feel like you open up a space for magic and miracles and synchronicity, serendipity to happen in your life and for your projects. You know, if you open it to the hand of angels and spirits, you know, that want to see this thing happen as much as you do, then it could become better and bigger than anything that you could ever make on your own. But still, the love that you put into it is multiplied then, you know, it's multiplied further. You know, if we could break the heart and the soul of the story or some of those core points and have, you know, our unique contributions to it, and then bring it out to a larger field of development, you know, where you know, have your baby of the story and you give it the care and the nutrients, you know, to grow into something awesome. But then you also release to the world as well the baby of that story and let it grow up and then let it come back to you as well, and to see the shape that it takes is something, you know, magical, like a parent-child relationship metaphor. And metaphor looks so cool. It looks so cool. I love the stuff that they're doing. I love the remake on Persona 3. It's so freaking good. Oh man, and bringing that Persona 5 money into it, because they really knocked it out of the park. And the sales that they made on that one was like way more than all of the other Persona games. Not, Shin Megami sales, but all of the other Persona games combined didn't compare to like the sales and success of Persona 5. Really, really cool. So they're able to take that and to bring in their old classics back to life with the new money and the scale of the expansion of Atlas. And the work that they're doing is magic. They make miracles and magic happen every day out there. Another fantastic example of a series that uses heart instead of money to accomplish something that is both exciting and emotionally resonant as anything that you could possibly buy at the video game design store, there where you could, hire on a world-class design team, the best writers, and get the top engines or whatever, and just throw millions of dollars at it, but with inspiration and heart and making something unique and believing in that thing and being your own biggest fan. The director of Persona 5, like going up to the Sky Tower in Tokyo and reading all the different like manga storylines, so that all their character stories and the parallel stories run like concurrent to all of these different like manga geniuses and character stories. So it's familiar and yet new. Is a great example of a way to let that breathe, where you're investing yourself in the best creative minds, while at the same time having enough confidence in yourself to make stuff that exists alongside of them, to get inspired but not intimidated. It's really good. Love the Persona team and everything that they did with that. And the blockbuster moments and stuff hit just as hard as anything, but it was made on just a fraction of the budget of all of those Hollywood games that came out on the same era. But what was the Game of the Year award winner and like all those Game of the Year lists and stuff? Persona. Love that. Chrono Cross is another one of those games. It was made on a fraction of the budget of a Final Fantasy game, but I felt like it came in Final Fantasy hard. And all of the way that they write all of the different accents of all of the characters is like, even the localization and translation team, and I'm sure that they had a lot of difficulties with it, but they write in all of these unique speech patterns, which I felt like helped me to aspire to become a voice actor as a youngin'. Playing through Chrono Cross, there's all these different dialects and character types and stuff. So it's a very rich world, and you really feel the rainbow of different people that inhabit that world. And of the like 46 or something playable characters, then almost all of them are optional. There's like one guy who's like a masked wrestler, but he's also a psychic, and he's the guardian to this family. And this kid that he was a guardian to like died, and you like find this child's funeral as the introduction to this character. And there's like one kid who's still alive, and he's inspired to like go with you guys, like he's got to help you, and the kid is even like, you have to help them, man. And he's so cool. Like there's one guy which is like a skull that like this clown skull like bounces up to you, and he's lost his memories and he's lost his body. And to get the character Skelly on your team, you have to go to like 6 or 7 different like obscure locations and collect all the different pieces of his body. And eventually you can find like the person who was like his mother or his grandmother or something, and he like wanted to be a comedian and travel around and make people happy, but he was like a failure in life eventually, and he like had this like draw to live that like kept him attached to the world, or got cursed somehow, and he joins up with your team. There's so many colorful, amazing characters in Chrono Cross. There's this guy who's like a masked magician, right? He's a masked magician who was originally the other character of the Radical Dreamers narrative game. And he's the masked magician Gale. And I think he's from Gale or Guile. From Chrono Trigger, maybe? He's like a mysterious guy. And there's a split point in the game where you get one of 3 different characters, and he's one of them. The other character is a like musketeer dude named Pierre, who was the character that I got. I had no idea that you could get the other ones. He's the least cool of the 3, but I still love him. you know, and you're like doing this raid on this manor, you know, and you're getting into it. And he's going there, and they all have different reasons for going there. The three of them. The other guy is a rock star named Nicky, who's like going to the town, and he's got like a pirate for a dad and a mermaid for a mom. um, and all these things, you know, and he's trying to find like no spoilers. I'll ruin that. He's trying to find someone lost and meaningful to him who's in this place. And Nicky's awesome too, but I love the Masked Magician, man. He's one of my favorites. And they all have different attack patterns, they all have different specials. A lot of them have like unique character quests that you have to invest in later in the game to access their special attacks and finales. And you really get to learn to love this wild cast of characters, and kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like diverse perspectives and skill sets. And every color of the rainbow makes the rainbow possible. Uh, the rainbow is a theme in Chrono Cross that just stuck with me. You know, my favorite color became rainbow after playing the game. You know, yeah, no, the elemental system, it's so good, it's so crisp. Yeah, no, every color in the spectrum creates the beauty of the whole and adds to it. It shouldn't just be one perfect color, because there is no such thing. There is no such thing as one perfect color, you know, but we all complement each other. We bring out each other's strengths and differences and weaknesses and help each other work on them, you know. You see yourself from different perspectives, you know. It's a magical, magical business, being alive and making stories and ideas, you know, investing yourself in imagination. Totally magical. Oh man. Um, let's see if we can pull up some Asian Kung Fu Generation on YouTube. Please tell me I have YouTube. Thank you. We'll pull up my favorite Asian Kung Fu Generation song. The Town in Blue. So it's the end theme song for a really magical. Hey, look at that topic. At least it's nothing. Nothing terrible. No, that's a great selection of things. Oh man, Dancing Star Night. Oh man, P5 is so good. The rivers in the desert, like Joker, like dance move is so fucking good. Oh my god. I never played the game, but did watch the video of the dance moves and such, and it's priceless. Um, yeah, we can do that for a sec. Oh yeah.
Love your plugins, but wish you had more
I love Febreze ads.
Introducing the new Febreze Plug Scent Booster. Enjoy the same 50 days of continuous scents for Febreze Plug, including a cord for flexible placement options and a boost button for extra.
Okay, well, just the intro is so good, but it doesn't do the rivers, does it? But yeah, I was afraid of this. Okay. Yeah, I was afraid that it wouldn't have him in his coolest outfit. Gonna drop his setup, but not a problem. It's so good. Oh man. I don't even have like a very big TV, no fancy TV. You don't need any fancy things to, you know. To fill your world with things that you love. So good. No, yeah, you can get up and dance it. I'm not going to.
It's now or never, and I've got to make my decision. It's time to live my moment. If it's on the right job, I'm just fulfilling my mission. I'm living in a garden, the land is still lost. A heartbeat for demon, a waiting still season. I'm giving the balance, I'm standing.
So good, man. Oh my god.
All my life is over. What's left in the window? I'm out of here still, dark vision. Don't ask I'm ready, but I'm ready to start things down now. I just want to start. There's no time for indecision. I'm living in a garden. The life is still lost. With the hope of
Oh, he's too good. Jump kicks and shit. It's too good. Oh my god. Lynn, too. Lynn, though. Oh my god. When they got Lynn, I'm sure when they got Lynn, they knew they couldn't fuck it up. You know? No, I like dancing more than I love. I like dancing more than anybody knows. Do they have Yusuke in this one? Nah, you gotta watch the collection video of all of the songs that has Yusuke in it for sure. I'm always dancing with someone who's never there. Oh no, they have all of them? No, it's all about the Yusuke Joker synergy in there. That is insane. I mean, look at them guys though. I mean, Morgana deserves that too. Morgana probably deserves that more than Yusuke. Come on. You can tell they have fun with this one. We're gonna have fun with this one. Yeah, this shit. Oh, bro. Oh, you can't tell me Yusuke is not a romance option. See this? See that synergy? Look at these guys. Look at that shit. No what? Oh, man. Nagata! Go! I've never watched all of these. This is delightful. I thought they just did like a different character beats. I didn't know that he did completely different synchronized movements with them. That's tight. That's sick as fuck. This is the best. Fucking goofball. Let's go. Tom's character story is kind of the best. Oh my god. I'm kind of happy I didn't get to do like half of the character events. I'm not gonna turn this off. I'm sure that you already know that if you wear the Dancing in the Stars outfit, you get to hear this as the battle theme every single time. And all of the different customizable DLC outfits have different battle themes to them, right? It's so fucking good. That's a boy. Oh. Joker on fire. 14. They so deserve this. They so deserve Dancing in the Stars. I mean, like, this is like, yeah, true. Oh.
Cat.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. I'm gonna use the restroom. I'll be right back. Here. All right. I would like to remind you, and everyone, I'd like to remind you that I'm tired as fuck. It's 4:30 in the morning, and I had nothing prepared for this presentation. You can prepare your stuff, but I like to prepare for spontaneity, and to leave space for that is very much my style. Beyond the big fat hero line, and maybe also I've taken to dressing like a villain. And just the contradiction, the divine contradiction between those two things. But I do love irony. Irony is one of my favorite things in the whole world. So that's your whole plan. You're gonna be Persona guy, take us all on a worldwide adventure, change the world with awesome ideas and unique skill sets, and still the plan. Yeah, no. I didn't expect to get kicked out of your club. Oh my god, instantly? I thought they'd be like, you're being too much. Dial it back, Dial it back. Or something. I thought we were pretty close friends. I wanted to meet everyone. All of your mods and people. And I still do. Believe it. For sure. But you know, if paths diverge, maybe they diverge for a reason, and you gotta find the strength and the goodness in that, you know, because reunions and happy reunions are fantastic. Um, Now, obviously, I'm also colorless dreamer. In case absolutely no one checked out my graphic design, t-shirt design page, is colorless design. Yeah, no, he's just another guy that talks exactly like me. Yeah. Don't tell anyone. I don't want to get kicked out again. No, it wasn't a cool move, but it wasn't even on the scale of, you know, the cruelest or unusualest things done to me in my times. Very, very light. No, extremely light. That isn't to undersell or understate how much I care about you guys, or how much our time together has meant to me, and how much you guys mean to me. Uh, yes, for sure. Just send me a video of you dancing around to Persona music for fucking way good. No, you don't have to do anything for me. We're way good. Truly. Truly. Um Arcane has been the thing. There's always something that gets me back into the fun and the juiciness and inspiration of life. Definitely Persona during those months and that time. Persona touched my heart more deeply and dearly than most things ever have. Um, and their character stories and the diversion of expectations is just something that I love. Like as a creator and a storyteller, it's something that I do automatically, but I try and like think of like what are my expectations for this story. And Persona was definitely one of those stories that threw my expectations away and surpassed them in every way so many times, where I at no point in the story could guess where the story was going to go next, where the story would end up, and that is something that is so fantastic. Um, that's something that's so fantastic, and my heart was truly touched like that. Like when you meet Kamoshida, and you know maybe you hear the number of palaces that are set in the game, and you expect like you know a kind of repetition of their thing, maybe increase in scale. Like who are the corrupt people whose hearts you're gonna change? You know, like politicians, celebrities, criminals, what? Um, and instantly my expectations were diverted and surpassed in every way by the second palace, by the third, especially by the fourth, you know, Madarame, Kaneshiro, and then Futaba, which takes a whole different subversion of the entire like concept of having a palace and something that could be not just something that's like harmful to the outside world, but something that you create inside of yourself, you know, it's just something with like anxieties and depressions. It's just something that I've suffered from deeply at different times in my life. And to think that, okay, yeah, that's like a type of distortion, a type of distortion in the natural energy as well, and something where instead of just being someone that's like, um, you know, beating these really villainous characters, you're saving a really beautiful and tragic character from herself, you know, and she'd been like locked in this world for so long. It was so beautiful and touching and heartbreaking and profound and powerful. And on the other side of it, to get to see her and meet her and know who she is and see her contributions to the team, and then like you weren't even complete without her and you didn't even know about her beforehand, you know, the way meeting a great character in a story feels, you know, they really knocked out of the park with that. So good. I can't wait to see what they do next with Persona. Truly, I cannot wait to see what they do next with Persona. Super good. Um, no, I can't believe I missed Persona 3. I was entirely out of money. And it's like, okay, I should invest myself into finding ways to get my project successful so that I can get an entire entertainment system in addition to building a media platform so I can share my ideas if I'm streaming or breaking new projects so that I can also maximize the time that I'm getting from gaming. To be able to spend time also with my friends and loved ones, who's mostly what I would stream content for. But then if anyone else or an audience was also there for it, that'd be really great as well. And then you could just like have things where you're talking about the things that you're working on, delivering kind of behind the scenes at the same time as creating an entertainment platform, which would be fun. But just to like cheer up my friends and loved ones and create a way to be able to keep in touch with them all at the same time as putting in time that I could have in professional projects, right? Or on skill building, collaborating, networking ideas, building a nice and beautiful productive studio space so that I could, breathe and stretch and meditate and have a nice routine that works as the foundation for all the work that you do. You have a nice consistent place where you write out your ideas, and you have a different time where you answer emails and write new emails and collaborative potential. You have a place where you freeform journal, you break it down into a structured, multi faceted schedule, but then at the same time you leave open blocks as well, totally open blocks, so that you never feel confined by the schedule, but you're using it as a tool to get the most out of your life and times, to achieve your highest levels of productivity and efficiency, so that the time that you do get with your friends and your close loved ones is really maximized as well, and not in a way where you're like, bullet points, we have to hit the most emotional, meaningful conversations while we're here, but like, you just have the presence and focus, and your mind's not anywhere else, so that you can give them real human moments and moments of consideration. To be able to be a really good listener is my favorite thing in the world as well. I love to be a listener and to be a witness to someone's expression of a unique moment in time for them. Because most of the time, I feel like people don't need much more than to be heard. And usually, if you can honestly express that and create that soundboard of feedback, people already have most of the answers for the problems that they're working on right inside of them. And that you don't have to give them the answer so much as giving them the witness to their thoughts, so that they can find the solutions that are already within them, which is like where some real magic happens. To be a therapist or something was definitely one of my million potential career paths. Demon slayer, spirit detective, artist, comedian, healer, therapist, romance novelist, game designer, comic book writer, martial artist, detective, doctor, lawyer, both of them to change the game of doctoring and lawyering. Not to be the traditional, like, you gotta be a doctor or a lawyer, but because those fields are so rooted in such a deep type of stagnant way of thinking that can lead to intense amounts of corruption, right? Where people think that the medical system and the justice system, especially the justice system, is messed up, but there's equally messed up things in the medical system for sure. Like the medical system not investing in cures for things because they're profiting off of people's illnesses. And instances of this happening a lot, and happening institutionally, where it's not even like people making these decisions, but the people have made the decision to support the medical industry. And if the medical industry is supported by people's illnesses, then by default, they will try and shut down things that, cut off that profit, which in that case is cures for these things, even though the entire medical industry was created in the vision and the dream of like preventing illness and creating wellness. And when they're doing it so counterproductive to that, it's so backwards. It's messed up. I'm not a fan of that ever happening, right? And want to do things to change those games. So yeah, many potential career paths, but like the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, I'm just the guy that didn't hit any of them. Just the colossal failure so far. But, procrastination and failure and what have you is very much like a place where you can work on the puzzle box of life And the more times that you've tried and failed, the closer you are to success than any time you try and perfect a framework, you know, so that you won't fail at all. If you get out there and start failing, that is 100% of the time the route to success, right? Like, try and play a video game by just reading strategy guides about how to get the perfect strategy. You never get there ever unless you get out there and start failing a little bit, you know? And it's a fusion, a synergy of having a really good plan and also getting out there and getting experience. Or you're just getting experience without the plan, you know, you're bumbling around, you're not your highest self. But if you're all planning and no action and experimentation, then that doesn't get you anywhere either. It's going to be the synergy, fusion of action and ideas, both. Anyway, can we get back to dancing around to some more Persona music? Come on. Oh man. We should reserve the rest of the night just for doing that.
It's showtime. It's showtime.
The On Makoto duo.
It's now, it's never, and I've got to make my decision. This time to be my moment. If this time right, or just to fulfill my mission.
On was literally my only love interest in Persona. Yeah, I was going to go Makoto, but I just did more of the On relationship points, and she's like, I need you, man. You've been there for me. And you can either say everyone else is there for you, or I'm there for you. And I couldn't leave a girl hanging and not say I was there for her. It locked me into romance. So I'm like, this playthrough. Go Makoto, go Team Makoto for sure. Way good. Oh man, way good. Yeah, to work on the dance moves. Organize that. Been out of the game for a while.
King Crazy!
Yo.
最後まで集中してたね。おめでとう。
Nice
パーフェクト
one.
だよ。じゃあ、達成。夢をあげたみたいね。
I'd love to do a proper
Persona
playthrough of Persona sometime. I told you, right? I didn't get the whole DLC content in Persona because no one told me that you needed Akechi and Maruki's social links mastered out. I miss so many of the social links. I miss so many things. Honestly, if I was playing Persona again, for the first time, I'd want a very limited strategy guide of the things that you don't want to miss and the sights to see. Like visiting a new place with a light sightseeing guide that's like you want to hit these things. Like a few things. You almost need to do the twins, the persona building challenges that they give you. If you do very few of them, pretty early on in the game, you can unlock a thing that lets you unlock any level of persona. You don't have to reach the level of the persona to unlock it, right? And you can see the way any persona looks as well. So I would say unlock that as soon as possible. And it takes yen. It takes a bunch of yen to unlock these super personas that become a part of your team. But then early on, you can start to unlock what is your team of super personas that you fuse yourself and give them all the best abilities and stuff. And this made the game much more fun and gave the grind content extra value because you need something to do with your yen, right? And it's unlocking the super personas and giving them like super high value, so you have like the coolest, most customized Pokemon team of personas ever. I love the dancing dog thing, like the Baron or whatever, Baron. I don't know what his name was. He'll find out who he is eventually. And a number of these other guys, and like the perfect personas, the added personas, not the DLC personas, but the ones that they added into Royal that require you to fuse like 3 or 5 of them together or something. All of those custom super personas, like you want to unlock all of the like super personas by the end of the game. It's almost too much by the end of the game. It's overpowering. But to have that customized team of guys where you love each and every one of them, they're not just random monsters, but they're your friends, you know? That's something to do to at least wear the DLC outfits in the Mementos grind sections is pretty cool. And then to like, I did it where I'd switch up each palace to have outfits that like complemented that palace. Which is fun playing alongside someone else who's using all the base designs because their base designs are so fucking based. They're so good. That was something to do. The fortune tellers social link. Now that is something that's just way fucking cool because it gives you the ability to do twice as many, literally twice as many social links. It is the only way that you could possibly get all of the social links in the whole game. When you start to not play as much like choosing between whose social links you do because you can unlock them literally twice as fast. You pay her 5,000 yen a day and she will progress any social link one day. Amazing ability. Again, game-changing ability, so you can get all of your whole team as their upgraded super personas by the end of the game as well. By the time that you fight the Holy Grail or whatever, you should probably have all of your characters. I didn't have like any of them. I had like An and Ryuji and what's it, Morgana? You know, that was it for my super team right there, and that is the core team. So I felt really good about that, and I still switched out all of the characters and used enough Yusuke and Makoto and Haru and everyone, you know, in the end fight and all their abilities. Such a nice, good long marathon end fight that lets you celebrate everything so awesome about Persona that you've loved up until that moment. You know, it's so good. But just those few things, even, and then to leave, of course, like any sightseeing guide, enough space in the guide that you take in your own things on your own time and make the journey very unique and personal to you, and choose which and when you activate which social links and whatnot. It would be really good. But just those 2 things, the ability to get any of the personas and super personas and unlock them with money. You could choose or not to choose using their DLC outfits, but they're so cool, especially the Dancing Starlight outfits, yeah. And then there's a different one. There's a different like dancing clubbing series of outfits that are like equally good that you can wear, and they're all so fantastic. Like I wouldn't. I mean, obviously the game is fantastic anyway, but they're a great addition. Great addition as well. Yeah, you do the perfect person playthrough. I don't know. I suppose if you're just doing mental sharpening exercises and stuff beforehand, and everything that you could do. Do some nootropics. Get some good nootropics, which are completely safe, completely legal vitamins and minerals and stuff that are meant to increase cognitive and brain function. Nootropics. They're amazing. Fantastic addition to like chemical stimulants or something if you want mind power. Nootropics are very, very, very good. Yeah, no, I don't have any nootropics right now, but they're great. And then just like puzzle solving and mental acuity exercises and stuff. So you come at the game in a space of complete mental clarity and focus, right? And also, you know, stuff like doing affirmations and pre-paving and stuff where you're like, I'm gonna have a really good time. We're gonna find fun, entertaining moments. You know, if you're doing it on stream, you know, you're gonna have good, entertaining moments for people. You're gonna enjoy the entire thing. Invest yourself in the game. Be whip sharp and snappy. Your comebacks, responses, and doing all the gameplay things in the game perfectly, hitting all the weaknesses, choosing through your menus very quickly. You have the perfected persona playthrough. And you could also, if you had an elite team of editors and stuff, to chop the videos down into bite-sized YouTube videos to extend to the larger Persona community, bring in new fans that have never played Persona before, have also spoiler-free content as well as spoiler-full content for everyone that has played the game, and yet the people who haven't. You have a smaller amount of content on that front, you know, because lots of people have played Persona already, but there's all these new fans that are coming in, you know, and they might like your content as well. No, yeah, it's a great idea for stuff that you could do moving forward. And obviously, I'm using Persona as an example of something that you could do with anything. Whether it's Final Fantasy, or Elden Ring, or new games that haven't even come out yet. You know, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, all of the coolest indie anime games and coolest indie games out there, you know? Lots and lots and lots of fun projects and directions. Yeah, no, I think the problem was before was that I didn't film you enough content, you know, like to do more like a 6-hour video would probably like that was it, right? They were like, oh man, this motherfucker coming in 4.5 hours of content, 4.5 hours of content. Instead of 16 hours of content, that's a little bit light. That's a little bit goofy. Not quite Luffy. You know what I mean? And we need a One Piece captain. Not no. Bootleg One Piece captain. So that was definitely the problem before, and we're not going to make that mistake again. You know, I'm going to take this night to film 6 more hours of content. I'm joking. Yeah, man. Super good. Feeling really good about everything. Talking about Chrono Cypher was so fun, dude. Chrono Cypher's fun. That's the name. It became like we could go back to Samstar, move it forward to something else. I mean, use the name Samstar for something else. And it wouldn't have to. We could use something that was strongly and heavily inspired by the Chrono Cross series that is a tribute to Chrono Cross instead of actually being like something that aims to take part in the series. I like to like set things up for myself that are quite difficult at times, especially in terms of fan content. When I make like fan content for things, I try to do it really left field and to create something that is a unique contribution and then to fall in love with it in its own right. But it's hard to work with royalties and licenses and stuff, especially when you're just getting started out. If you become a little bit more of a household name, a contributor, and a collaborator, you made really cool stuff before, then people will want your contributions that you have. And if you've like backed yourself up, then they can listen to the talk and also have the example of your skills and expertise that show that it's not just hopes and dreams, but hopes and dreams that lay a pitch perfect and solid foundation for reality. Lynn is so cool. She's so good. Get out there. Backs of the worlds are turned. No way these guys got create the world-class team out of nothing. Heart and soul. And love and God energy. Flows through them all like a million rivers in the desert. The driest places, this game is nourishing inspiration. Okay. I'm all about it. Yeah. I can't believe I haven't watched all these. They did a really nice cut up there. Change the songs. Thank you. Go. No, do I think that Joker should be in the Marco show? I think they're a great combo. But I don't know, man. Kasumi is kind of like his shows in love. Maybe.
Tylenol Precise with maximum strength lidocaine provides
Can you believe
long-lasting targeted relief for up to 8 hours.
I like to think that I'm the only guy with my wild shonen seinen style. You have a good time hanging out. I don't know if I've even heard this remix.
I'll trade for you.
My cinema. Slow work. Dating. Sometimes it seems like it's a race game. Do everything you want to do. You got one life. Live it to the fullest, right?
Searching all along, patience while I'm on and on.
Oh, they cut me off from alcohol for a little while, just to prove that I could do it. I'm just doing it to prove that I can do it to myself. But sometimes you're like, I know I can do it for myself. A drink now and again is so delightful. Love her style. Love art. She comes in. Yeah. Go fluffy queen. Go fluffy queen. Okay, I'll let you hang out with Barbie. I'm gonna smoke a cigarette. Be right back. You know, I can't smoke too much in here. Sanji's right over there. I give him fresh air and love and everything that he needs all the time. I must be cat fed.
Hiding both days and nights, all free for you to go. What else you can do? Just don't take home hiding both days and nights, all free for you to go. What else you can do? Just don't take home hiding both days and nights, all free for you to go.
Have you missed me? I hope you missed me. Enjoy. You missed a little bit, right? Something you care about. Just good. Go Twins. Go Twins.
All free for you to go.
I think if your team got to know me, they'd like me. I like to think that about myself, that I could be likable. That other people might enjoy hanging out with me as much as I enjoy hanging out with them, you know? Oh, yeah. Oh. You're back. Indeed. Promo for idea is really good. The mid idea is really good. They tie into other larger ideas, and the one that I'm kind of leading up to with those ideas and ventures and iterations in game design is a Hatsune Miku sprite-based game design that doesn't just do the side-scrolling thing, but takes on all aspects of retro game designs. Hatsune Miku saves the world, or Hatsune Miku versus the world's stress, or something like that, right? Where she tunes in from her cosmic interdimensional space station home, right? Where Hatsune Miku lives when she's not everywhere and everything all at once. And she looks to planet Earth, and she sees that they're having a hard time. You know, all of the pain and strife of planet Earth, all of the unheard dreams, them driving themselves insane. And she's like, "Aw, hell no." And she breaks into the dream world of planet Earth to fight, like, all of Earth's demons, you know? Like, Miku versus all of Earth's demons. And I'm a kind of guy who would bet on Hatsune Miku in that fight. I think she could take it. She is omnisciently powerful. And she is such a cheerleader for life and love of life. What is this video? It was a skate dance video. No, we just went back to raining. That was good. Chill here for a minute. Talk about Hatsune Miku saving the world and becoming the hero of all of the kids of the world. No, the Hatsune Miku thing is important and treasured, and I'd love to talk to you about it as well. And again, the idea of collaboration, and a grand collaboration. Can't dance to this. I think if we just go dancing in the Star Night, we'll get all of them. Morgana's dance is so fucking crisp and cool. But it'd just be totally fun. The idea is that it's totally fun. Nice 80 videos. Let's dance. Woo! That's it, right? You can't see shit on here. Man, this is not a good camera. It's not a good camera, but it is a good video, and it's a good energy, and we're doing our best, and I love that, you know? Like, to make something infinitely valuable, you don't have to have a fancy thing, and fancy things do help, and you can't have all the best teams and the technicians and the equipment that you need to be your highest potential in self, but you don't need it to get out there and start making moves, you know? And even those things that you do back on the first camera that you have a timeless, priceless value in and of themselves, and I love that too. Okay.
Stressed out? Time to refresh your rhythm with
No, the Hatsune Miku thing, god damn it, is one of the projects that
Dancing Star Night.
Dancing Star Night! I hope it does that every time.
全力でいく。
よし、お前の力を見せてやれ。
これだ。いいよ、
その調子。
Let's smoke just a little bit here. But I gotta tell you how crispy and juicy this Hatsune Miku game concept is gonna be, and how it is in my head anyway. But then I believe that it can be even better than that, and that's how I imagine it in my head. You know, it's a grand world collaboration with the best sprite-based Sakuga animation ever, and little design button pressing sequences with like complex animations where you have to do the right button pressing sequences in timing to get the right victory moves. And there'd also be potential failures if you didn't get them and you go back in and you do them. And then the remixing of all these different game design techniques where she'd beat darkness and stress with puzzle solving games, with platforming games, with dance rhythm games, with like sports games, you know? She would beat the darkness in every single way, every single time, but with the best effects budget ever. The best like sprite-based effects budget ever. The most magical stars, sparkles, lightning, rainbow-colored effects and clouds and movement and that perfect synergy of energy, you know, that makes miracles and magic happen. And it's so like, you know, you get the Takashi Murakami design studio on. The Takashi Murakami design Hatsune Miku like music video is my favorite thing ever. It's the thing that kind of like, it helped me to kill my darkness and my stress in a dark time. So they take that as a window of opportunity to make her into a real world hero. And as someone that speaks for already collaborative software, right? Because she's built as a collaborative software with over 3 million different songs, a lot of amazing songs by amazing Japanese DJs. Use the Miku software and the Vocaloid software in their works, right? Vocaloid software is cool, but what they do with the character and the expression of it on top of that is really unique to make this shared open source design hero. It was Hatsune Miku. And I mean, like the image boards of all the fan art that's been done for Miku, like everyone adds their energy to hers, and she creates a channel of energy. Okay, we can't watch this again. No, you're way too cool to watch that again.
Persona 5 Dancing Star Night.
Oh, too cool. Darren Morganavan. Here, no, I'm sorry. I forgot to start at the beginning. Guys, totally worth it. Totally worth it. No. I think like the Hatsune Miku game design thing works really, really well against Persona because the colors are totally inverted. Where this is like black and red, that's like blue and white and rainbow colored. But you know, with her magical blue energy, and then she's fighting against the darkness, you know. But it's still stylistically very similar because it uses like base anime and anime style as its like framework. But then something that's totally goofy and silly. But I like to imagine using the other projects as a platform and framework to get the design and money that I'd use to make this as good as it can be. I mean, I hope to throw a couple $100 million at it, and just to hire them, to have artists to really express themselves and add their energy and creativity and imagination to the project. So it'd be a grand multimedia collaborative art project where you'd have an entire animation studio dedicated to making the animations of this thing, and to make them as fantastic and sophisticated as possible, where it's like all Sakuga type animation, strong enough to beat any darkness and fear. And I like to imagine that like the ghetto kids could get down with Hatsune Miku. You don't know how much like ghetto kids, not even necessarily ghetto kids, but like street kids be loving the Naruto. And the Attack on Titan, and like anime and stuff. So many like colored kids and kids of every color from every walk of life do love the animes. So to make something that's like this girly, perfect anime princess, but she goes hard and gangsta enough to like sit at any table, you know, is also kind of a dream. You know, to like meet the perfect mastery of design of like Hideo Kojima stuff and Hayao Miyazaki stuff, which I'm always trying to like hit that bar and that level. But with my girl Miku, it's like yeah. So that's like just a super good idea. And I really love the idea also that as she stands for making like game making, she stands for collaborative software that's used to become a part of like your creativity and others' creativity. Like you could make an engine that perfectly hijacks and shows how you have the base code for pretty much all old and retro games, and use that as a framework for people to create new ideas with it. So you do it really, really, really well. I like to think if you could make it, you could also make it with like an extra hard mode, and all the colors would be remixed in the whole game. So it'd make a game where it's like easy, medium, hard. It'd be a game that absolutely anyone could play. It'd be easy to play but difficult to master, but it would have high mastery levels that would be insane. So you could also have those superstar, rockstar, speedrunner, super gamers that get there, and yet everyone's gameplay experience is perfect and unique in and of itself, and you wouldn't feel like you were playing like a lesser version of the game at the normal or even easy mode. You know, you'd still get full Miku. You know, you wouldn't have to be special to get the 100% full production of the game. Like, it was made just for you. And to like mix all of the effects from like Mario and Zelda and all of that cool Nintendo shit, but with the sprite-based style and like the high anime style. It'd just be really, really fun, right? The game that saved the world and reminded us that we were all awesome the whole time, even when we couldn't see it.
Tylenol Precise with maximum strength.
I know, it's terrible.
To the nerves.
Hanging out, watching YouTube ads,
for
pursuing dance videos.
up to 8 hours.
It's too good. It's a good time.
Persona 5 ダンシングスター
Persona 5! Dancing Star. I do pretty good when I'm tired. Like, if I have something to do, something to say, I can usually get it done. Go Kitaro style. All of their characters having unique and signature dance moves and styles is pretty perfect. I love it. Yeah, I know, they all express themselves in unique ways, and I'm sure they had an awesome team of dancers and choreographers who put all of this together and found ways to express the characters with unique dancers and unique, like, dance abilities. Super perfect. Just so good. Oh my god, this guy or girl has got nothing but perfects except for that finger right there. Madness. Super good. Oh my god. How? Japanese people, my goodness. 535 combos. Holy shit. Dude, crazy! High score was higher than that? Holy shit. Japanese people.
Hero Wars.
This is fun. I hope you're
pt4
fun.
Hero Wars welcomes new heroes to the battlefield.
Blooming villain.
ペルソナ5ダンシングスターナイト
Oh. I gotta go lay down next to Sanji for a minute. Cat dad.
面白い見とけ
すごくいい表情。リラックスして。
全開でぶっ飛ば
Yeah. Despite his limited movement, he loves to move. So he just needs the right support to be able to do it. Love him. He's probably got to go out soon, and we'll make that happen. I love this so much. Go Harvey, easy combo. That is a unique combo. Outfits are so cool too. Honestly, to be able to design fashion is such a dream as well. And to design fashion specific for certain people, be they like entertainers, people that you love and respect and want to see them be their awesomest, coolest self, to be able to draw fashion design and create perfect outfits for your friends and loved ones and your admired heroes, that's a dream as well. Okay. Holy cow, are they getting those perfect timings? Holy cow, yeah, to hit all of these timings, you couldn't watch the dance video at all. You guys do good. We'll do one more story idea real quick. Or a comic book story that I've been working on for ages about a woman named Vengeance. It's kind of the base Gunhead story that I had some years before I wrote Gunhead. I had it some years before I wrote Gunhead, but I think the story's aged very well. And I liked the idea of a character that's journey through this world is kind of surreal and dreamlike, you know, because she's like killed and brought back to life as a super weapon to like change this world. The idea of this story is like an Old West sci-fi fantasy samurai story set in a post-apocalyptic world where these syndicate gangs like rule over these people, and it's pretty damn hard to get by, and everyone's fighting just to survive. And this girl who's a fighter is killed by just like a random act of cruelty by some of the highest people in this world, and someone that's tracking them is like, that can't happen. So he revives her, and she's turned into a tool in this game. But then the idea that the storyline would be from her point of view and her perspective, which is totally like dreamlike, as she's going through her memories and experiences. And she is the most elite ninja, the quickest, the fastest. Yeah. She's like old world tech that was salvaged and extremely experimental and used to create a super soldier. So kind of like that Marvel movie type superhero fantasy story, but then with a very Hideo Kojima flair and edge, like old anime style hardcore. It's hard to define exactly in few short words what creates that Kojima edge, but the idea that it'd be elaborate and well thought out, but still have like an air of fantasy and comedy to it, even a little bit, high entertainment value, but then being able to get lost in anime type tangents and create moments that are almost unbelievably larger than life and in concept. In truth, I don't know what creates the Hideo Kojima edge, but it's such just untouchable level of storytelling and design, and video game fusion of storytelling and design. I wanted to make something that make Hideo Kojima proud and come up with some of the coolest action sequences, but also just after having like read the Hunger Games and a lot of like stories, Mistborn, the Hunger Games, really strong female protagonists that have to survive and fight, and to do that, but even really like punk rock, like a really punk rock version of that. And to have this like perfect anime character that still cares about people and the world despite everything that's happened to her, and she must be a tool of vengeance, but then is like a tool of transformation in this world through a very violent and hard time. I like the idea of just like kind of B movies and stuff, like really hardcore situations and scenarios, you know? Hardcore, but with a beating heart somewhere. And the song was like Halsey's Gasoline. Halsey's Gasoline was the song that I listened to the most when writing that series. And the idea of a very, very broken character that kind of finds herself through this world. I'm not doing it justice right now, but that's kind of the concept. I dream she'd carry like a blood red mecha sword with her, and she'd have a very powerful sword that can cut through like fields, because there's obviously guns and explosives and stuff, but they'd have like shields and force fields and mecha armor that's meant to like, you know, prevent that stuff, but with like a, you know, laser edge tech sword. She's able to cut through anything, and her superpower is being able to like slow down time. To be able to slow down time and move really quickly, to save people and get the victory out of the jaws of defeat. But also kind of the idea that she's like phasing in and out of consciousness, right? Like she'll just go from like a kind of you know, a dream state into the most 100% elite action, like 0 to 100, and be a super wild card in the whole game and the setup of this scenario and this world, this post-apocalyptic conflict, you know, these people that are fighting for survival, and these syndicate gangs that are like controlling all the old world tech, and there's like mechas and robots, and she fights them single-handedly. And she's like from the gutter, you know? I like a character from the gutter, just like me. But then, you know, she might go from there to the highest places and end up changing the world for the better, just like me. I tell you her name is Vengeance, but she has to actually have a name in the story, in this place, you know, where people hurt her and pushed her down her whole life. So she's got a kind of built-up fight, you know, that she's able to release through the story, at least a bit. I don't want her to die in the end of the storyline. I want it to set up like she's going to die in the end of the storyline, and she's like really pushing herself to 100 on a limited time type deal, but they're able to like save her in the end and give her at least some more years in a place of serene peace. I'd only tell you that. I really want it to like lead up like there's no way she's going to survive, but there's like very high and powerful people that are involved in the conflict that expands a lot beyond anything that we see, so the scope of the story is expanded in the end, and our character does get like peace in the end through the conquest. That I feel like it'd be well won if she fights through enough pain and, you know, like is able to even like self-sacrifice. And there's a conflict between like changing things and fighting for people. If you have to like, some people get sacrificed on the ground level. If you have to keep the vision at the highest point, she's got to be a tool of vengeance. Fun idea for a story, but the art style on that one especially, like you can just look through all the art books on Metal Gear, the Yoji Shinkawa art books, the Dogs Action and Dogs Bullets and Carnage manga series, maybe a little bit of Bleach here and there, and then like a lot of independent and modern designers in the field as well. Stuff like Feng Zhu. Feng Zhu has some world design stuff where you can see him painting in and designing these worlds and characters, mechas, shapes of buildings. So they'd have interesting shapes of buildings and mechas and kind of like slum type stuff. I'd like to think the world has become, despite the fact it being destroyed, slightly unified. So